Yep.
And like it's
How's that
something that's
happen?
actually possible. Before researching this,
Hmm.
actually, I thought this would be an extremely vague concept, right? I thought it would be similar
Yeah.
to the beginning of the universe, right? No one really knows how it happens. That's
Hmm.
not the case, actually. There are actually three main theories that scientists have come up
Yeah.
with, which are extremely detailed and
Hmm.
logical. And I mean, unfortunately, they also sound very like likely.
Very
So,
possible, yeah. The three
yeah,
theories basically are the big freeze, the big rip, and the big crunch,
big crunch.
which
Yeah,
we at the Fried Circuit have translated into matter stays intact, everything gets ripped apart, and the universe swallows itself. And those are the
yeah.
three
Those
theories
are
that we
the
have of the
casual
universe
terms
ending.
itself. Yeah. So, yeah, so we start off with the big freeze, which is one of the most probable ones, right? And as Saksham said right now, think of it as matter staying intact. The universe ends, but
Hmm.
everything stays intact in a way. And the way this basically works is everything is expanding, right? The universe is expanding right now, as we know, and has been expanding since the beginning of time, since the Big Bang. So, the universe is expanding, will continue to expand, but as of
Hmm.
now, the universe isn't uniform, right? There's some parts of
Yeah.
space that are just empty. Some parts have a star, some parts have a solar system, galaxies, black holes. The universe is basically littered with these different attractions and different things. And right now, the universe is completely irregular and non-uniform. But as the expansion of the universe keeps going on, will happen is this force of expansion that the universe is applying to everything will basically smoothen everything out. It'll spread everything that's in the
Hmm.
universe, contained in the universe, evenly. So the black hole. Suppose you have a black hole on one side with just empty space on the other. The black hole is clearly greater in terms of the force of gravity and mass, all of that.
Yeah.
But as the universe goes on expanding and just expanding over like I don't know hundreds, millions, billions of years,
Hmm.
um, that black hole will just get evenly spread until it's so thin, it's basically like empty space, right? And what's happening
It's
here
gonna
is
evaporate basically.
yeah, it'll basically kind of evaporate. So that's what will happen with every single bit of matter. Everything will get spread out so thinly, it'll basically be even. The entire
Hmm.
universe will be even. The gas
Even to a
clouds,
point
right,
where
and
nothing
the fuel.
exists really.
Yeah. The gas
It's just
clouds
all been
that
spread out.
help form stars, right? Those will dissipate. The
Hmm.
the black holes themselves, as Saksham said, will evaporate. The even the light particles, right? Again, we said they don't have any matter, but they're still there in the universe, still present. The light
Hmm.
particles themselves will fizzle out, right? And so everything gets spread so evenly, so thinly, and everything just fizzles out. The universe, in a way, just turns off. It just gets snuffed out.
Just goes out.
So while
Yeah.
the matter is still there, still present, it's
Hmm.
so evenly spread that the whole universe just snuffs
It's
itself
like
out
putting a
like a
fire
candle.
out. It's just gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Poof.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's quite scary if you think about it. This is everything we know just gone. But we
Yeah.
have two more of
It's,
those situations for you, so don't worry.
we have two more, and it's up to you to judge which one do you think is the worst. Would you rather be
Yeah.
snuffed out, or would you rather be ripped apart? This one sounds a bit more gruesome, but yeah, the second theory, the big rip, where everything gets ripped
Yeah.
apart. So in this theory, essentially what happens is that when the universe is expanding, everything gets pulled apart. Alright, but because galaxies like the Milky Way have mass because of black holes, suns, stars, planets, etc., etc., they stay together. The gravity
Yeah.
essentially pulls galaxies together, but the universe itself is expanding outwards. At some point, the universe's expansion becomes so strong that the gravity that's holding the galaxies together can no longer hold it together. Right, and the small parts like black holes and stars, they get ripped apart. Essentially, everything then gets torn up into small individual particles, and these single particles will just drift around. So
Yeah.
basically, how the Big Bang made particles and the matter then combined to form what we have today, these are always going to happen over here. It's going to expand and tear so much that everything's going everything's going to come back to the same
Yeah.
particles that started it all, and those particles
Yeah.
just be around, drifting around and
Yeah,
doing
it's
whatever
so
they
strong
want.
that
Really,
everything will get ripped down to the bare essentials. Every
yeah,
single piece of
they're going
matter,
to
every
essentially
single
tear the
particle.
universe apart. Every
Right,
bit
it'll
of
just
matter is
be
going to get torn
individual
apart.
particles just floating
Yeah.
around. Yeah,
And
and
now
yeah,
we
that's
come to the
that's second
third
one.
and the final one.
Yeah, the big
Uh,
crunch. All right.
okay,
Yeah, and people on the internet seem to disagree, but I personally think this is
the
quite
best
possibly
one,
the most. I think it's the most terrifying one.
most
People on the
terrifying
internet,
one.
yeah, people on the
Okay,
internet actually think it's like the least terrifying one. I think it's the most terrifying one because what basically
okay.
happens here is instead of the universe
Mm-hmm.
sort of shutting down, and like instead of the universe just shutting down and snuffing out
Yeah.
like peacefully like with the candle thing in in the Big Freeze,
Big
or
Freeze.
maybe in the Big
That's
Big
my
Rip, where
favorite.
everything gets.
I think the Big Freeze is my personal favorite. I'd rather
I think
go out like
it,
that.
yeah, it's the most peaceful one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, everything just gets snuffed out like a candle. Or like in the Big Rip, everything is ripped apart, but it's still there. It's worse than the Big
Yeah.
Freeze in my opinion, but like still there. The Big Crunch, according to me, is the most horrifying one and the most
Destructive.
sci-fi one, which is basically
Yeah.
the universe swallows itself. It just consumes itself and then it's just gone out. So I'll tell you how this happens.
Okay.
How scientists think this will happen. So it basically happens here is gravity slowly but surely becomes the most powerful force in the universe, right? Because the gravity of the universe, at its core, that's holding the universe together, it will slowly become the most powerful force in the universe. And because of this, because the force of gravity will then be greater than the force of expansion, the rate of expansion of the universe will decrease. And as this
Okay.
goes on, as the gravity becomes stronger and stronger, and the force of expansion becomes weaker, the universe will not only stop expanding; it'll actually start shrinking. And when the universe
Oh.
starts shrinking,
So it's the
things in
opposite
the
of the Big Rip essentially, where gravity becomes
Yeah.
more powerful than the
Right,
expansion force.
right. Yeah, and what happens here is, not like it's not things won't get destroyed because you can't destroy matter and energy. Everyone knows that. Things won't destroy. Things will just get compressed and get compact and just closer to one another, right? So
Yeah.
these galaxies that you have, they're extremely spread out far away from each other. These galaxies will, because the universe as a whole is decreasing in size, the galaxies will also get forced together until they actually meet. Then entire galaxies will crash into each other, right? And when stuff like this happens, when you have
That's a big
so
crash.
much, yeah, when you have such large pieces of matter crashing into each other, the temperatures will go straight up, right? There'll be forms of heat that have never been seen before, and these levels of heat will actually rip atoms apart and they'll cook stars from the inside. It'll be such large scale destruction that entire galaxies will get ripped down to their atoms. And stars themselves, stars that burn so brightly and are so hot,
So hot.
they get cooked from the inside, right? And this has happened to the
Imagine
smaller.
cooking a nuclear fusion reaction. Like
Yeah.
a nuclear fusion reaction is the most powerful reaction that we know on Earth, at least the biggest way to
Right.
generate energy essentially.
Right.
Imagine cooking that.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, basically it'll start off with the galaxies, right? Galaxies crash into each other, and obviously the smaller pieces of matter, like the planets and black holes and all, will also crash into each other and get destroyed, get ripped apart. But that's where black holes are special, because black holes consume matter, right? Black holes
Okay.
have this huge force of gravity that consume matter. And when black holes crash into each other, they won't get destroyed. Black holes will just crash into each other and converge into bigger black holes. And as this happens with more and more black holes, as they individually consume other matter and combine to form bigger black holes, it'll all eventually, just before the big crunch happens, it'll all eventually converge into this one mega black hole that ends up swallowing the universe. And that's
okay.
how the
What's going to stop
that's how the
existing?
big crunch
It's gonna
happens.
all roll up in a
Yeah.
ball, go inside a black hole, never to be seen again.
Yeah.